Okay, so what happens if we've got a non-unitary trinomial? A non-unitary trinomial means that we have a coefficient of the x squared term. So you can see I've expanded a couple of examples here for you. I've got 2x plus 3 upon x plus 5, and if we expand that out, we end up with 2x squared plus 13x plus 15. And I've also got 2x take away 3 upon x minus 7, and if we expand that out and collect our like terms, we end up with 2x squared minus 17x plus 21. So, in order to work backwards from that 2x squared plus 13x plus 15, you can see I've highlighted the coefficient of x and the term at the end in red. And if you multiply those terms together, you're going to end up with 30. And if you look at the blue numbers in that first example, those are factors of 30 that add together to give me the 13x. So looking at the second example, again, the 2 and the 21, the red numbers multiplied together, give me what's called my magic number, which in this case is 42. And then I've got a positive term at the end, and a negative term in the middle, so I need two negative factors of 42 to give me the negative 17, and that happens to be negative 14 and negative 3. So let's have a look at an example. We've got to factorise 2x squared minus 5x minus 12. So the first thing we're going to do is find our magic number. And we find our magic number by multiplying the 2 and the negative 12 together. Now you can see that we've got a negative term in the middle and a negative term at the end, so we know that our brackets are going to have different signs. So our magic number is 2 times negative 12, and that gives us a magic number of negative 24. So I want factors of negative 24, one that's positive and one that's negative, that are going to give me that negative 5. My bigger factor is going to be a negative number because I've got a negative number in the middle. So quickly running through them, I've got negative 24 and 1, that gives me negative 23, that's not going to help. I've got negative 12 and 2, that's going to give me negative 10, that's not going to work. And then I've got negative 8 and 3, that's going to give me negative 5, and so I'm going to use them. So now I'm going to write it as 2x squared. I'm going to replace my negative 5x with negative 8x plus 3x, and then I'm bringing my negative 12 down. So now we're doing exactly the same thing. We're going to factorize those first two terms, so the 2x squared minus 8x, and we're going to factorize the plus 3x minus 12. So what's the highest common factor of 2x squared minus 8x? And that is 2x. So we've looked for the highest common number and the highest common variable. So we've got 2x, and inside our bracket we're going to have x minus, and half of 8 is 4. And now we're going to factorize the second part. So this time the highest common factor of 3x and take away 12 is plus 3. And we're going to end up with x minus 4. So now we need to make our brackets. So one of our brackets is going to be 2x plus 3, and our other bracket is going to be this shared bracket, the x minus 4. So our final answer is going to be 2x plus 3 upon x minus 4. So let's have a look at another example. This time we're going to factorize 3x squared plus 13x take away 10. So we want to make our magic number. So remember, our magic number is made by multiplying the coefficient of x squared by the number at the end, the constant term. Again, we've got a positive in the middle and a negative at the end, so we know that our brackets are going to have different signs. So 3 times negative 10 gives us a magic number of negative 30. Now, we want factors of negative 30, one that's positive, one that's negative, that are going to give us the plus 13. Now, remembering that we've got a positive term in the middle, so that means that the bigger factor is going to have the positive. So, if we look at 30 and negative 1, that's going to give us 29, so that's not going to work. If we then look at 15 and negative 2, if we add them together, we do get 13, and so we don't need to go and look at any of the other factors of 30 because we've found the pair that we want. So now we're going to replace that plus 13x with our 15 and our negative 2. So we've got 3x squared, we've got a plus 15x, a minus 2x, and then we've got our minus 10. So the next step, we're going to factorize the 3x squared plus 15x and find the highest common factor. And we're going to factorize the minus 2x and the minus 10 and find the highest common factor. So the highest common factor of 3x squared plus 15x is going to give us a 3x. And 3x times x gives us 3x squared, and 3x times plus 5 gives us our 15x. Then we want to find out the highest common factor of negative 2x and negative 10 to leave us with that x plus 5 bracket. So we're going to take out a common negative 2. And so negative 2 times x gives us negative 2x, and negative 2 times positive 5 gives us our negative 10. So one of our brackets is going to be 3x take away 2, and the other bracket is going to be our shared x plus 5 bracket. So we've got 3x take away 2 and x plus 5 is our factorization of 3x squared plus 13x take away 10. So if we bring this all together, going back to the factorizing checklist that we encountered when we were doing a difference of two squares, 3 steps when we're factorizing. First of all, look for a common factor. Second, find a difference of two squares. Third, the factorization of trinomials. So if we factorize 12x squared minus 75, you can see that we don't have any perfect squares, but it looks like it could be a difference of two squares. So we're looking for a common factor. So the common factor of 12x squared and negative 75 happens to be 3. So we're going to write that as 3 upon x squared, 4x squared, minus 25. So now you can see that inside our bracket we have got a difference of two squares because we've got two perfect square terms separated by a subtraction sign. So we bring the 3 down, we know we're going to have two brackets. One's going to be positive, one's going to be negative. The first bracket, the first term of each bracket is going to be the square root of 4x squared. And so that's going to be 2x, because 2x multiplied by 2x gives us 4x squared. And the second term of both of our brackets is going to be the square root of 25, which is going to be 5. So our final answer to 12x squared minus 75 is 3 upon 2x plus 5 upon 2x minus 5. Now the next example, we've got higher powers than we're used to dealing with. But you can see we've actually got a common x squared term in each of the 3 terms. So this is our common factor. So rather than trying to figure out how on earth we're going to factorize a trinomial with high powers of x, if you've got a power of x in each of your terms, then take that out as your common factor. So using our rules of indices, we can take out a common x squared. So x to the power 4 plus 5x cubed minus 14x squared has a highest common factor of x squared. And that leaves us with x squared plus 5x minus 14. And now we're just going to factorize that trinomial because we don't have a difference of two squares because we've got three terms. So we're going to factorize that trinomial. So we're going to keep that x squared. We've got a unitary x squared now. So we're looking at our number as negative 14. And negative 14 at the end and a positive 5x in the middle means our brackets are going to have different signs. So we need one positive and one negative factor of 14 that are going to give us plus 5. And because it's a plus 5, our bigger factor is going to be the positive number. So we've got 14 and negative 1. That gives us 13, so that's not going to work. And our only other factors of 14 are 7 and negative 2, and that gives us our plus 5x. So we're going to replace it. So we've got x squared, and then we've got plus 7x minus 2x, and then we've got our takeaway 14. So keep that x squared common factor, and to work out what our brackets are, we're going to factorize the x squared plus 7x, and we're going to factorize the negative 2x take away 14. So the highest common factor of x squared plus 7x is x, and we get x plus 7 inside our bracket, and the highest common factor of negative 2x take away 14 is negative 2, to give us our x plus 7 as our common bracket. So now we want to bring it all together. So we've got x squared, and we are going to have one of our brackets is going to be x minus 2, and our other bracket is going to be x plus 7. So we've got x squared, x minus 2 upon x plus 7, and that is our factorization of x to the power of 4 plus 5x cubed minus 14x squared.